I really appreciate it, and it also just makes me feel really nice when many of you think of me after you watch an episode of or a movie, but in this case, an episode of The Mandalorian, and you tweet me your reactions. That's just so nice to be part of your experience. And today, I got mixed reactions on this episode. Some of you really liked it, and I don't think anyone disliked it, but some of you felt that something was off. And I agree with all of you. I thought that some of the stuff here was excellent, but then some stuff was off. I mean, so I basically, I wrote down in my notes here that today's episode was a mixed bag. So first let's talk about what I loved. Let's start with the positivity. Then I'll talk about what I didn't love, and then we'll circle back to Boba Fett, who of course was amazing, and a couple of other things. But Boba Fett, wow. So what I loved, Boba Fett, in and out of the armor, he was so freaking cool. Wow, he turned into like a Darth Vader Mando mashup, and I was all for it. As I said, we'll talk about him more a little bit later in this review. Also, Fennec Droid Abs Shand. What the heck is that? I said you have to be a really good mechanic to apparently exist in the Star Wars world, but you have to be able to perform it on humans too? That's amazing. I would have preferred a little bit more information on what had been done to her. I was like, and it was so well done. I was like, why couldn't he fix his face up better if he was able to, do such a seamless, smooth patch job on you, Fennec? But anyway, her helmet, I understand, it's funny, helmets on this show. But I thought the Fennec's helmet, side note, I just thought of this now it's technically in the I didn't like it category, but her helmet's awful. It looks so bad. Otherwise, though, she looks fantastic. She had some sweet moves, especially when she leaped, turned around midair, and fired back as she fell. That was cool. I mean, they knew it was cool, but it was. So I loved it. I also loved turning up the dial on Grogu's Force abilities. And the nod to Princess Leia's famous scene in a cell was a nice touch. For a moment, I'm sure you did as well, maybe we were supposed to, I thought Grogu was going to force choke those two stormtroopers and kill them, because he does seem to gravitate a little bit towards the dark side. I thought that's what Moff Gideon was waiting for, not for Grogu to tucker himself out and need a nap. The puppet work this episode, by the way, was particularly good. I'll talk about it a little bit more later on, but I want to mention it here. From Grogu in the cell to Grogu's interaction with Mando at the beginning. I love that he responds to his name. And so does Mando. I thought that the puppet movement was just incredible. Really, really strong work. I also always enjoy me some Giancarlo Esposito. I've interviewed him. He's such a nice man in real life. You can tell that whenever he does any interaction on social media, whenever anybody interviews him, the man just glows. So I think it's funny that he really is one of the best villains in the biz. I'm so glad he's part of the Star Wars universe. I mean, he put handcuffs on a baby, right? That's so funny. How do they even have baby-sized handcuffs? They didn't have to even, jerry-rig it. They were like, oh yeah, I'll get the baby handcuffs in the back. And you're like, you guys are monsters. I also thought it was so great when Moff Gideon was like, oh, you can't play with the Darksaber, Grogu, I don't even think he knows his name. He doesn't care about Grogu, but he's like, oh, I think you'll put an eye out. I thought that was great. I like the baby interrogation. Like they went for like a full interrogation with a baby, like unapologetically. They're like, yeah, we're interrogating a baby. Have you seen this baby? It's amazing. It needs to be interrogated. I also like Moff Gideon's new toys, the Dark Troopers. Although when they landed, they were clearly dudes in a suit, like green screen, and then they just put the exoskeleton around them. It was a little sloppy, I felt. Not the usual nuanced and elegant droid action that we're used to. I mean, even last season with Taika Waititi's droid, he had great movements. And also the droid bodyguards, last episode for the magistrate. So it was weird to see something there was such obvious human movements with the droids. But I see potential. They're new. They're from the animation. I think they're actually from the video games, right? But, I'm curious to see where this goes with them. I like the addition. And then Bill Burr's coming back. Okay, light bulb moment. Isn't it interesting to see who Jon Favreau gravitates toward? It seems to be a certain type of person with both Gina Carano and Bill Burr. And he is best friends with Vince Vaughn. They came up together. And Vince Vaughn has not made his political leanings a secret at all. So maybe Jon Favreau's in this group. not that there's anything wrong with that unless you're like tweeting offensive stuff, that's a whole different conversation. I'm just pointing out that it seems that Jon Favreau maybe is like this group of people. And what makes this even more interesting is that we all know that Pedro Pascal is the complete opposite of that group. They're, two huge extremes. So it would make sense that Pedro Pascal would be having problems, as I reported to you. That's yet another reason that maybe Pedro Pascal wouldn't quite jive with this group. Because, they're just cut from different cloths. And they're both so extreme that there probably isn't a lot of room for, meeting in the middle there. Which is why, maybe, they just came to an impasse. So I think that's fascinating. Cara Dune, by the way, joined the New Republic. Hooray, good for her. All right, so anyway, and she's like, I'm not breaking any rules. And then he's like, I took the kid. Because I guess if he said Grogu, she'd be like, who? But yeah, I'm glad that she's like, okay, we're breaking all the rules for Grogu. I don't really think anyone's paying that close attention to the rules on her outpost. I don't think she needs to be that much of a stickler, quite frankly. All right, so what did I not love? I mean, she just got the job, so I understand. All right, so anyway, I'm giving her like a couple of years. She'll become disaffected real fast. All right, so what didn't I love? All right, now we know that it's not always Pedro Pascal in the suit, particularly in season 1, because he wasn't even cast until the end to do the voiceover in that final scene, where he takes the helmet off. But this season, he has been in the suit more. And as I told you, he was kicked off. It seems that, Jon Favreau just shot with the double and had faith that they would be able to get Pedro Pascal to come back in and do the lines. Maybe that's what he always felt when he kicked Pedro Pascal off the set. But I gotta tell you, I think it makes a difference. And I mean, for the first time today, I don't know how you felt, but with this episode, I felt there was a disconnect between Pedro Pascal's vocal performance, which was fantastic as always, and the physical performance of whoever was in that suit. It really felt almost like a theme park performer who was going through the motions, and there just was a disconnect. In a recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, when Pedro Pascal was selected as one of their Entertainers of the Year, that could have been done through Disney. It could have been done through his publicist. I think Pedro Pascal is very deserving of it. I'm a big fan of his. But he said in that interview that he made a point to try and act through his body movements because it's, you couldn't see his face. And I feel that's come through. I feel like I've really connected to Mando in particular this season. So I think that they might have broken their ability because of that to go back to the stand-in. So that's good for Pedro Pascal as it makes him more difficult to replace. I think he should be on set. I mean, I know that the suit probably gets also really hot. I just be like, Pedro, we got to find a way to make this work where everyone's happy because you are Mando. He's fantastic. All right, so what I also didn't love were the stormtroopers. They were just so dumb today. It was like they were like minions, but not funny or entertaining. They were just like, you were like, who would hire these people? I mean, I no wonder Moff Gideon has developed the Dark Troopers. He's like, I can't take it anymore. But also, I did think it was funny how many of them kept pouring out of the ships. I was like, what is that, Mary Poppins bag? Like, how did you get another unit out of there? It seems so small. Although I don't know how they're all fitting in Boba Fett's ship either. That seems like it holds just one person to me almost. All right, so he's getting awfully crowded in here. All right, so I also was very upset that Mando lost Grogu. Now, I understand that stakes have to be raised and it had to maybe happen eventually, but I felt that it was done in a really stupid, careless way. It was more annoying than, oh, it couldn't be helped. Oh, no. I was like, Mando, why did you make so many stupid mistakes today? I mean, I really felt he made a lot of bad mistakes. Maybe he let his guard down because he finally connected with Grogu. And that was kind of shown at the beginning when he laughed, getting Grogu to react and stuff. And I thought it was great that he was trying to train him himself. You guys can't separate. Stop talking about it. I won't allow it to happen. But I don't think that they made the point well enough to make it really hit home emotionally. That I would have loved it if it had been that he let his guard down. And also, why did he keep trying to break through that Jedi energy beam? I'm like, how many times are you going to try the same thing, Mando? You know what the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing but expecting a different, result. I was like, you can't get through that. And I don't know why he left him. I'm like, he's like, I'm going to protect you from really far away. He took off his jetpack, and then when he ran up, he forgot it. I mean, the whole thing was like, it was very unusually stupid mistakes for Mando to make. So I think they're clearly setting it up that a Jedi, by the way, will answer Grogu's call for help and help rescue him from Moff Gideon with the group. It'll be either Ezra, my money's on Ezra, or maybe Luke will show up. Because, I think Luke's probably going to maybe show up in the Obi-Wan show, perhaps. So I mean, that would be amazing if they kept that a secret. Both would have been kept a secret, but to have a new Luke and not have anyone find out, that would be amazing. That would be like they kept the child a secret, so that's pretty, they were able to do that, but there have been so many leaks for season 2, it would be crazy. Or maybe Ahsoka circles back. Maybe that's why there hasn't been a leak. Maybe Ahsoka's like, maybe they somehow find a way to get her. We'll see. Finally, in the category of what I didn't love, I think that Robert Rodriguez did a really poor job here as a director. I know some people thought he did a great job. I think it's more that you just liked the episode, and so you attributed that to the director. I felt that the filming of the action sequences was really sloppy and clunky, and only Temuera Morrison's brilliant execution of his fight choreography saved the day. I mean, for a film director with so much experience in not just action movies, but also filming with VFX, I'm surprised that Robert Rodriguez's work here was so poor. And what I think was, not only was it sloppily filmed, but it really lacked atmosphere. I mean, think of this versus Dave Filoni's episode, the last one, right? I mean, it felt like just a bunch of people running around in the desert. One of you tweeted me that you felt this was a little like a fan film, and I can see what you're talking about. Okay, so let's talk about Boba Fett. Morrison killed it. He literally straight up killed some of those stormtroopers. I don't know how I felt about that. I mean, he is like supposed to be like an anti-hero, but I was like, they're so stupid. You have to kill them, right? Although I appreciated the nod to tribal weapons. I thought that was really a nice twist, which are that effective. But again, I thought that Temuera Morrison's action scenes were stellar, and so was his acting. He delivered a classic potent character straight out of the Western genre. I thought he was fantastic. As I said, his cloak action was so good. He was swirling all over the place. I loved it. And then when he laid his iconic armor over it, for a minute there, I thought it wasn't going to fit because it was on like super skinny Timothy Oliphant at the beginning of the season. And Temuera Morrison is, he's a bigger guy now. So I was like, is it still going to fit on him? But it did. And I thought that putting them together, as I said, created this cool Darth Vader Mando mashup. And he looked really great. I thought it was great. It was a great new look for Boba Fett going forward. And then he used his toys in a way I've only seen Batman use toys in a suit. That was great. Although I didn't like the joke that he was aiming for a different ship. I was like, clearly you were aiming for the top ship because then it fell down and crashed into the other one. Why would you shoot the lower ship? That's stupid. It makes no sense. So I didn't like that joke. I thought it was I like jokes. I don't like jokes when they're expensive a character. Now, so I never, and we'll talk about that more in a moment, but I never understood why Boba Fett has been such a popular character. I'm like, meh. I mean, I like the mythology of the Clone Wars and all that stuff, and I like that, all the clones that were made, the way that was expanded in the Dave Filoni animation, which they haven't really capitalized on here in the live action just yet. But now I'm totally a Boba Fett fan. I'm like, he's cool. I see it. Although when Boba Fett and Fennec joined Mando at the end, I kind of felt bad for Carl Weathers and Gina Carano because they really felt like replacements because it was like the exact same dynamic. I was like, oh, what did you upgrade? Like he kind of did upgrade, but that's not very nice to Carl Weathers and Gina Carano. Now there's a rumor that I've heard as well, you've seen it in a number of places, that they're making a Boba Fett show right now and they're going to hold off on Mandalorian Season 3. I don't see how that's just not Mandalorian Season 3 because it's like basically another Mandalorian. I know he's not technically a Mandalorian, but it's like you guys were like, Ahsoka's not a Jedi, and then they were calling her a Jedi all last week. I mean, it's the basic affiliations. Boba Fett is a super cool character, but I also don't know how I feel about introducing a cooler character than Mando on Mando's own show. Now you know why Vin Diesel created the point system for Fast and Furious to make sure everybody looks equally cool. I think they should maybe implement the point system on The Mandalorian. Now there are only 2 episodes left. Very curious to see how things end. The pace is definitely starting to pick up and things are definitely starting to happen. So I'm very excited to see these last 2 episodes. So what did you think? Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.